we focus on autos with Amyn Pirani, Executive Director, India Automobiles Research at JP Morgan. Amyn, great having you. Thanks so much for taking the time out as we wind down the year. And Amyn, the interesting thing that my producer Mahima pointed out to me this morning, with a lot of global large automobile companies pointing to either a slowdown in EV sales for them or cutting back on the EV spends, or in Ford's case, I believe, writing off some of those EV spends as well, right? I mean, it's an interesting turn of events wherein at the start of the year, everybody couldn't get enough of electric vehicles, and suddenly large companies are saying that, hey, we have a potential problem here. How do you see this?
First of all, thanks for having me, on your show. See, as far as EV sales are concerned, so I will, separate out what is happening in India vis-a-vis, what we are seeing globally. In India, by the way, EV penetration has gone up this year, which is what we, I think, did, talk about in the early part of the year as well. We have seen, more EV launches. And while ICE growth has also come back in a very strong way, especially after the GST cuts announced a few months back, EV penetration, EV sales have also gone up across passenger vehicles and even in two-wheelers. As far as the global, markets are concerned, in North America, yes, that has, come, the pace has come off slightly. That is because of, the expectations around what the emission-related rules will be, and whether the strict emission requirements will continue or not. In Europe, however, at least in Western Europe, that number has continued to inch up. So I think what is happening is that in the Western world, the exuberance around EVs has come off a bit, but are EVs continuing to grow, and is the penetration continuing to go up? It is. And in India, where penetration is very low, I mean, as of last financial year, we were, just about 2%. We are almost doubling that penetration. And given the kind of EV launches that we are seeing, that penetration should continue to go up in the foreseeable future.
Sure. Amin, good morning. Alex here. I'm just wondering what you make of the latest trends, right? So you've seen a few shots in the arm for the automotive pack, and I'm here talking primarily first about the OEMs, and then you have the flow through to the auto anchors as well. But GST 2.0, you saw a lot of inventory disruption and then settlement, or more or less, and the festive season play out, right? So heading into the new calendar year, do you anticipate small cars get a big boost, and thereby you have Maruti Suzuki? And on the motorcycles side, you see some impact. How are you looking at the start of the new year?
So our view has been that a GST cut definitely has been a big boost to affordability. So, if you look at the context, if you look at two-wheelers as a category, fiscal year 26 will be the first year that we will just about cross fiscal 19 volume levels. Basically, we've had no growth for the last 7 years. I don't think, I cannot think of any discretionary category or even a staples category where we've seen no growth for the last 7 years. So it's a big boost for the entire category. Even in passenger vehicles, cars and SUVs, the growth has been sub 5% CAGR over the last, 6 or 7 years. So basically, along with GST related affordability push, in addition to the other things which have already been done to support demand, which is basically the income tax cuts, which are accumulating as the year is going by, as well as the interest rate cuts which are happening, all of this should improve affordability. And we are expecting that both in passenger vehicles and in two-wheelers, we should see a high single-digit or close to a double-digit volume growth as we head into the next 12 months. Within that, obviously, the bottom half in both these categories should do even better, because those are the categories which have done even worse off than the overall segment growth. Like in two-wheelers, the bottom half has actually declined. In passenger vehicles, the bottom half has barely grown over the last 5 to 6 years. So overall strength in volumes, and the bottom half actually coming back and closing the gap with the premium segments in all these categories is what we are expecting.
I mean, hi, Tamanna here as well, and great to have you on the show. If I had to split the space into 4 buckets, of course there are more, but into passenger vehicles, ICE and EV, two-wheelers, traditional and EV, where do you think the growth is coming from?
See, penetration in both two-wheeler and passenger vehicle EV is still, quite low. I think in passenger vehicle, we will end up somewhere close to 4 to 5% by the time this financial year ends. In two-wheelers, while it is a higher number, we are still, in high single-digit kind of a penetration. So what will happen is that EVs will continue to outperform the overall industry growth, but even ICE growth will continue to be quite strong because the affordability has improved. Penetration of automobiles in India is still quite low. So any improvement in affordability drives volume growth. And within that, EVs will grow faster. But I don't think right now, given the kind of growth we are expecting, it's a either or between EV and ICE at this stage.
Okay. What about the implications of capex that some of these companies will undoubtedly have to now do? And you've pointed out quite that stark number, right? The first year since FY19 where you're going to see a breach of those numbers that you saw 7 years back. And so therefore you've had a few of these executives, the largest car company, Maruti Suzuki, talking about the need to expand capacity. What are the implications for the allied space? Because ultimately if a large OEM is going to set up additional capacity, that flows through to the ancillaries as well.
Yes, absolutely. So yes, we are already seeing capacity expansions. Passenger vehicle companies have made big announcements across the board, not just about the next 12 months, but leading up to 2030 as to what is the kind of capacity expansion they will need. Within two-wheelers, where capacity expansion, generally takes slightly lesser time. Also, we are seeing brownfield expansion, across companies in both two-wheelers and three-wheelers. And yes, for the auto component space, this also means increasing capex, increasing capacity. And what is also happening for the auto components in general is that whether it's an entry-level vehicle or it's a premium vehicle, the features are increasing across the board. So we are seeing safety features. Some of it is regulatory. Some of it is something that OEMs are giving on their own. We are increasingly seeing ADAS features. We are seeing ABS being mandated across some categories, and ADAS. So in addition to the capacity expansion and the volume growth, I think what will definitely help auto component companies is the increasing features, which also increase their content per vehicle, as we go forward.
Just wondering, this conversation was for automobiles, but I know you track aviation. Are you at a liberty to speak about aviation as well on this conversation?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so then I read the note that came in from you on the 5th of December, wherein you're saying that the jet fuel uptick plus the currency depreciation would mean that Q3 would be tough. Now I'm adding the fog-related delays from northern India to that mix, and the largest airline having some individual issues of its own as well. Are we looking at a brutal Q3 for the Indian aviation sector?
See, Q3 is generally a seasonally strong quarter. So in that context, yes, it will not look as great as other Q3s are concerned. But I would rather want to look beyond the current disruptions, because these are issues which, looking at the news flow, are getting resolved. And as we get into the next quarter, these things will be behind us most likely. But the larger point is, yes, if the currency continues to depreciate, then it has an impact on all Indian airlines in terms of fuel cost, as well as a lot of non-fuel cost, which is also impacted by, which is denominated in foreign currency. And while crude oil price has been coming down, jet fuel prices globally, and by that logic, even in India, have remained quite firm because of refining margins on a lot of these things. So yes, I think from a cost point of view, I think Indian Airlines will continue to be under pressure, especially if the currency, continues to be weak.
Broad question there, very quickly, if you can answer it, because for the one listed airline right now, the question currently is, even if they come back and resume their services, which they have, and retain their market share, will there be a policy push to get in more players so that we don't have another situation like this? The street is divided on whether that's actually feasible or not. Wondering if you have any view there at all.
By the way, there are 2 listed airlines, not just one.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, one with the giants. You actually caught me there.
but instead of going into specific names, as we look into the next 2 to 3 years, one thing that we need to remember is that every airline, from the largest to the smallest, is potentially going to get in a lot of new aircrafts. Aircraft delivery has been constrained for the last few years post-COVID, because all the suppliers are facing a lot of constraints. But as new and new aircraft keep coming in across all players, all the Indian airlines have put large orders towards new aircraft. So as these new aircrafts come in, as every company tries to add in new routes, I think market shares across airlines will ultimately become a function of how many aircrafts you're able to get and how you're able to increase your capacity across routes. And this will play out as it has played out in a very open and competitive manner over the last several years.
Thank you. Well answered. And I suppose blindsided by the other listed player just because of the sheer quantum of market share that the primary one enjoys. Thank you so much, Amyn Pirani, their Executive Director, India Automobiles Research at JP Morgan.